Hey, welcome back to the shop. I've talked a couple of times about a chess set. Well, here it is. These were made about 25 years ago. They're pretty simple in their execution. The cool thing that I think that I did here, that I'm very proud of, is that the only tool that I used, aside from sandpaper, to finish them was a table saw. So trying to do certain kinds of cuts on these with just a table saw was a really interesting limitation that I set for myself. Now, I started out with just octagons, and I actually have some leftover material because I'm a pack rat, and I still have the walnut and the bird's eye maple octagons that I originally made these from. These were leftover pieces. And I did make a chessboard for these as well. However, that chessboard ended up being too small. These pieces are pretty beefy, and I made the squares on the chessboard only just a little bit larger than the pieces, and it made it effectively impossible to play this chess set on that board. So I'm going to make a new board, but the pieces, the square pieces on the chessboard itself need to be about 1.5 times the face-to-face of this. Now, there's 6 different pieces in a chess set. There are the pawns, and in my case, these are just a plain octagon 3 inches tall. I'm not really going to remake any of the pawns. The pawns are all in fine shape, and the bird's eye maple on these end up being really, really gorgeous. And then there are the rooks, or also known as castles. There are the knights, and I'm particularly proud of the curve of the underneath of the knight. It could have had a little more of a kind of a horse shape to it, but I kept it simple because, again, I was just using the table saw. The only one I'm not really happy with is the bishop, because all I really did was cut the top edges of the octagon to kind of look a bit like a bishop's cope. I'm sorry, a mitre. Bishop's mitre is the top, is the tall pointy hat they wear. The ones I am proud of are the king and queen. The king is just a straight octagon, but he's got a really nice crown detail. This was cut at a 45 on the table saw in this inset as well as the top. The queen's top of her crown is the same as the king's top. I didn't give her a crown inset, but I gave her this scalloped waist effectively, and that was literally cut by pushing this laterally across the table saw blade this way. Not really a recommended procedure without doing it very, very carefully and doing it just a little bit at a time. And then they were just cleaned up with sandpaper. So that's my little bit of an introduction to the chess set. I am going to make a separate video on making each of these pieces. I've got one of my walnut, is it that one? No, it must be this one. One of my walnut castles right here is chipped. So it's one of the things I'm going to do is remake that particular rook so that I have a full set again. And then we'll look at making a chessboard. I'll probably go through the chessboard pretty quickly. It's just very precisely cut squares that are glued together in strips and then alternated to make a square. The only other thing I'll do is I'll probably trim it around the outside edge with maybe some oak and glue the whole thing down to a piece of plywood, which is what I did before. So follow along, and the next couple of weeks I'll try and release one of these every week for a couple of weeks, doing one piece each week in a video. So if you want to be notified when that comes out, please, do the like and subscribe thing and hit the notification bell and all that other YouTube stuff. I appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.